Okay, I'm gonna see if I can share this to our Facebook page, how easy that is to do. If I can't figure it out easily, we'll save it for next time.
I forgot you could do that. Yeah.
Somebody just showed me how to do it today, so. But I've never done it before, and it might be too complicated to figure out for this particular call, so. Try one more time. If it doesn't work, I'll wait till next time. Okay, we'll just record this one and share it. So let me maximize this, and thanks to everybody for joining in. If you have team members that you wanted to have on, or that if they were trying to get on, just send them a quick reminder. And this was kind of last minute, so I'd like it to be, as much like of your guys' input as we can possibly get, and it is recording. I double checked that, so you guys can share it with whoever when we're done too. So first of all, we don't have too large of a group, so either in the chat or just unmute yourself. I think most of you guys are muted. Just share where you're from, and then who your upline director is, and if you don't mind sharing how long you've been with Pampered Chef, that would be great. And you can do it in the chat if you want, or you can do it just like unmute yourself. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm Kim Friend, and I live in Northeast Indiana, in the very northeast corner. And Angela Sweeney is my director, and I've been with Pampered Chef 13 months.
Keep going. I'm gonna mute myself.
So, whoever's next can go.
I'll go next. I'm Amanda Krogman, and I'm thankful that Chantel asked my team to be part of this. My upline director is Ann McMillan, and I'm a director, and I've been with the company for 11 years. So, and I'm in Iowa, like rural Iowa, like in the boonies.
I'll go next. I'm Katie. I'm from rural Iowa also. I'm not far from Amanda. And Amanda Joe is my director. And I have been with Pampered Chef since May of 19.
I will go next. I'm Rachel Meyer. I've been with Pampered Chef since December 2016. I'm on Amanda Joe's team, and I live in Eastern Iowa, also in the boonies. And thanks for including us.
Okay. And we're getting comments in the group chat, which is awesome too. So yeah, and as you guys can hear, I have a newborn. So he took her upstairs, but we'll see if that lasts. I might just have to mute myself again and get her situated in my lap. But anyone else want to come off mute and share? Otherwise, just keep adding in from the chat. So I'm seeing Northeast Indiana, South Carolina, Connecticut. Anyone else? Was somebody trying to talk?
Well, I'm Monica Steffen. I'm on Danielle's team.
Awesome.
And I've been, I joined right at the end of July, so 1st of August, and I'm in Florida.
Okay, so we are representing a ton of states. Awesome. Anyone else? Somebody else was trying to talk there.
Hey, I'll go. Hey,
That was me.
Northern Kentucky, and I am with Chantel, and I have been here since last June.
Yeah, because it just popped up that we were wrapping up your first party, I think today of last year or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Kate, are you trying to hop in? Kate Rawson, was that you? Go for it.
Oh my God.
You're good.
Yeah. Hi. I'm so bad at computers. I'm so bad at
You're
this
doing
stuff.
fine.
Anyways, but I just joined Pampered Chef last November. Yeah, last November. And Amanda Joe is my upline, and I'm in Iowa.
Okay.
In the middle of nowhere, just like they are.
Yep, so a lot of Iowa. Yeah, and we've got a lot of states represented. And part of why I wanted to do that, and if we missed you, just put it in the chat. That way we can keep going. But and because I do have a lot I want to cover, and I don't want to keep anyone on too long too. So I know that I've done a couple calls with some leaders today, just like, okay, the world's kind of rapidly changed overnight. I talked to Amanda Jo today. We had a leader call last night, and just kind of talking about it. But it's also on some of the calls I was on today, it's really apparent that different states are kind of in different points of shutdown too. So your area may be affected very differently than some other areas. So, you know, the common denominator for us as a group is Pampered Chef. So how do we navigate that with everything going on, and like, what should we do? So I want you guys to jump in. You can unmute yourself, like kind of give me a wave if you're on video, so I know you're trying to hop in, so there's not like people talking over each other. And I would love for you guys to share, or if you can't unmute yourself, then just use the chat feature and I'll make sure that that gets up, you know, people are reading that too. But I do have some ideas, and then I wanted your ideas too. So just for starting purposes, I've done this for, it'll be 15 years in April. And so I've gone from like cooking shows to doing more virtual in the last 8 weeks because of our newborn. We've got 5 kids, including her. So I've done this a long time. But one of the calls this morning was Nancy Jo Ryan, which some of you may fall in her somewhere in her downline, some of you may not. But she's really the longest standing, like most successful, largest organization in the whole company. So she's been doing this very close to 30 years, or probably maybe even over 30 years now, probably. Because I know she started in like the mid to early 80s, I believe. And so she's seen this business through a lot of kind of very trials and tribulations and difficult times in history. So she was able to provide some like numbers, and I don't have those in front of me today. When I get my hands on like the actual numbers she shared, I can put them out to any leaders to share with their team. But basically, you know, there was H1N1, there was 9/11, there was Y2K. And so, you know, depending on where you're at in life, that may be very far back, or when you were a small child, or that might be something you remember very vividly. But just most of you, I'm going to assume all of you, nobody on any of our teams was selling Pampered Chef at that time, because most of you are under us and we weren't selling it at that time. So she was able to share some statistics of how her business grew through those times. And I know I sold through kind of the recession of the fallout after 9/11. So I started in 2005, and I think that like 2005, 2000 through 2008, 9, that window were really hard economic times for people. And people always ask me like, why Pampered Chef? How have you stayed this long? Those type of questions. And my response has always been, I did try one other company. It was a great product. It was a makeup company. But this stuck because when people weren't spending money on extras, they were still buying Pampered Chef. I was doing exclusively live shows at that time, which I realized that may or may not be possible for you depending on where you live and what's going on right now. But it also was a social event for moms that maybe weren't getting that other places either at that point in my business. So my show average did go down in that window. I always have tracked that pretty carefully, but my bookings were sky high, and my team was growing faster than any time before at that point, because people needed extra money. So even when you're faced with something really kind of difficult going on in the world, Pampered Chef can fill a need and help people out with the social aspect, and you can still do that with virtual parties. And then with helping to cook, helping to be in the kitchen, giving tips and ideas, and then still continuing to grow your team, because this can be a financial hardship. Some of these shutdowns could be a financial hardship for people. So does that make sense? So how do we go about that in a positive way? Because I'm sure all of you guys are in different places. Like I don't know all of you personally, but we started a post on our team page today just of like who's being affected and how much. You know, some people have kids home that have never been home during the day before. Some people are working from home, and some people are off work without pay right now. And there's probably other scenarios I'm not thinking of. I'm not intentionally leaving any situation out. But how do we help our friends, our family, our customers, our hosts in a helpful way and not come across as like we're trying to benefit from a bad situation, because that's not what anyone's trying to do. But people are going through difficult times and might be a little more sensitive to some of your word choices and things like that. Does that make sense? So does anyone have any ideas they want to share? I kind of have a few that I want to make sure we cover, but I want to give you guys chances to jump into. So who has something that's been working for them or an idea they'd love to share to start us off, and then I'll add some as well. Got any? Kim, I thought you might. Go for it.
Yeah, we talked about this last night. I drive school bus, and our for public school here in Northern Indiana, and our school system has shut down. Today was our last day, so the teachers, we had a 2-hour delay this morning, so the teachers could get things around to send home for students. We're going to be closed for 4 weeks. Yeah, one of those weeks was our scheduled spring break. So I have 2 granddaughters that come home with me every night. And my daughter was originally going to send them to daycare to the next school system over because they're still open. But she talked to me today and said, you know, why am I going to send my girls to a daycare that has 50 other families going there, and their school system is trying to alleviate them getting the virus. If that's, I mean, the virus has been one county over in our county, so it's in the area. And so I am lucky enough to be able to stay home with my granddaughters here at home and still work my business. So I am going to post that on my personal page and also on my VIP page. So it's just an I love being able to do that. So maybe that can help other people out, and I'm still earning an income. Does that make sense?
And I think last night we were talking about a way to post that so that it sounds helpful instead of like bragging, right? Because some people might be in really difficult situations right now where they don't have a lot of options. And again, we all, you all know your upline or people, the people on your team. So something you could say to them may come across very different because they know you than just a post out on social media that somebody could take the wrong way. So, I've seen some posts that people are like, oh, I'm so lucky I get to stay at home because of XYZ, fill in the blank. But for most of us, Pampered Chef, and you may or may not, even this may but not be your only deal. You might be still working as well, and we'll talk about that too. But so changing it to, like Kim said, of I'm helping my daughter with the grandkids because I have Pampered Chef. If you're looking for some information, or if you've ever thought about it, send me a message and I'll share what what's working for me, so that it's coming from a helpful frame and that it sounds helpful and positive and not bragging. Does that make sense? So you really want to think of that before you're taking to social media, because the truth of the matter is I have people signing up this week. But I think we do want to be sensitive that there's a lot of different situations out there, and what you're dealing with might be different than somebody else too. So I love that. So it's a reason to kind of offer the opportunity to people who have been thinking about it and maybe want to jump in. The other thing is we have that $19.80 kit. So even if people are being very financially conscious right now, $19.80, that's still something that most people can swing, and we can help them get started, or if you're brand new, your upline can help them get started with their first show so that they're making that back and then some right away. So what I'd love to have you guys do, instead of having everybody unmute themselves, is just put some of the concerns, or maybe the concerns your host, your guest, your, people have shared with you in the comments, so that we can handle those like one by one, or group them together and handle them. I know somebody had posted on our team page, like, my host is worried about having a party because what if people don't want to buy right now? So what kind of concerns are you guys hearing? If you're brand new, some of you guys have signed up in the last month, like that might be a little overwhelming. Like, what do I say to people? I signed up and stuff has really changed quickly. So Wendy says host is worries that people won't spend money. Okay. So what other concerns do you guys have? And we'll handle them one by one. And, anyone, especially any of the directors on here, if you want to jump on with ideas, don't let me do all the talking. Hesitant to reach out for bookings. I've been hearing that. Rachel, can you elaborate a little bit more, like what makes you hesitant specifically too, if you don't mind? What else?
I would say, do you want me to?
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Talk.
I'm not a good typer.
That's fine.
I guess I don't know. I'm kind of like sabotaging myself and just assuming that no one is going to want to host a party right now, because everything is kind of in our neck of the woods. No school, everyone's staying home trying to figure out what their money situation is going to be. And like, do they really want to hear from the Pampered Chef consultant from the last party? Hey, reaching out and doing the booking calls and touching base and look what you can get for free in March, or 60% off in March. So I guess knowing a more delicate way of reaching out, and so that's like halted me from contacting anyone.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. Who else is feeling that way? If you're on video, just like give a thumbs up so that we know that. Like, I think there's probably, there's a lot of you feeling that way. So thank you for voicing it, Rachel. So let's start with that one, and then we've got other people kind of in the comments, which is awesome, and I'll read those off. So again, things are rapidly changing. So I told my team that last night, that some of the stuff I was saying and doing on Thursday, now that there's been more shutdowns, might not be as effective or even as appropriate today on Monday, because more things have shut down. So last week I was still fully confident, like if people want to do a live show, that's fine. It's up to the host, and I had some on my calendar. But now, it may get to the point where they ask people not to drive and that kind of thing. So you may have to change some of the ideas now, or if you're listening to the recording later, in a week, some of this, you need to use your best judgment if it's still appropriate. But for right now, I've actually had a couple hosts reach out to me to see if they can get on my calendar at the end of this month, because they're thinking ahead that moms are going to be home. They're going to be like driving, their kids are going to be like bored, they're going to be home more, they don't necessarily have anything to look forward to. Who here has and be honest, at some point thought, man, I'm kind of sick of seeing this on my Facebook feed or on the news, like I'd like to see something that has nothing to do with the virus and is positive? So if we can bring that to the table and talk to them about that, not so much like I want to sell you something, but like I would start with that, Rachel. I would just say, you know what, I wasn't even sure if I should reach out to you, but I've been sick of everything in my news feed, and so I'm tweaking my parties just to make them really positive and fun. Like, what do you think? Would you be interested in? Would your friends be interested right now? Because I do know more people are on their phones right now than at any other time. That would be a word choice I would use to reach out to somebody, because you're being honest. Like, I wasn't really sure, but I'm doing this because I know I'm sick of this and I can bring something positive and fun to the table. And like, there's people that I've seen a lot of posts like, I'm tired of seeing all the stuff in the news, like post your favorite picture, and like they're starting threads with that. You can do that in your parties. Like, that could be your fun post of the day, is post something you cooked today, and everybody will jump on, and then that starts to go through everybody's news feed, and they're at least seeing a mix of like good fun stuff with some of the more serious stuff. Does that make sense? Do those kind of word choices sound helpful, and think something you could honestly say to a host or a potential lead and feel comfortable with it? Okay, so we're going on the right track here. Ashley said she had a $900 in sales, and some people started canceling due to panic buying and unsure how much money they would need. And I totally get that. I had a host that were done with their party, and it was a decent sized party, and she asked if she could keep it open another whole week. And I was like, quite honestly, I'm not going to tell you no. But the thing is, I'm afraid people will start canceling their orders if we leave it open a week without running their cards, because, you know, some people, their financial situation is quickly changing and they may need to change that. So I'm not going to say that that won't happen, because there is a possibility. I would set a good close date with your host and try to stick as closely to that as you possibly can. Now, that being said, I would also try to be flexible as it's warranted. So the way I did it, normally I do kind of a hard close on like Saturdays of all the shows that I finished up on Fridays, but there were several hosts that I extended through the weekend because of situations like they just found out that school, they were teachers and they just found out that school was going all virtual and they had to have all this paperwork done and submitted by Monday. So I was like, that's fine. Like, let's go ahead and extend an extra day and a half so that you can kind of figure this out. But I didn't do that with all my shows, because I did, you know, we're trying to get them in so people's cards are run quickly. Has anyone had any trouble with that, like either closing them out or having to decide to extend them? I don't know how many of you are already doing parties or worried about actually just booking more. Okay, so that's just a tip. I will tell you, people are still buying. And I saw somebody, it wasn't a Pampered Chef person, but they said, you know, there are people out there that are still buying things. And if you're not putting your business there, again, in a helpful way, we don't want to be like in a salesy or taking advantage way, they're going to spend that money somewhere else. And then Wendy's on direct ship, so that her situation's a little different. So, you know, how do we do that? Because I did end up having quite a bit of sales. My show average stayed about where I like it to be, like 600 for virtual parties. And I really encourage my host, like, people are still buying. So you have to have that confidence to share with them. So I had a host that was thinking about canceling because of everything going on. And I said, that's fine. If you want to reschedule, we can do that. But all of my shows last week, except for one, were over $600, and 2 of them were over $1,000. So people are still buying, and a lot of people are on their phones right now. So we can reschedule, or we can keep your original date, whatever you decide. And she decided to keep her original date. So you do have to come to the table with some confidence. And that's part of why I wanted us as leaders to share this call with you now, because if you're brand new, you don't have that confidence to share. So I want you to like steal it from us, okay? Because we've done this before, or we're still doing shows, or maybe we've been through some difficult situations, and we know, you know, some good word choices to use that have confidence behind them that maybe you just don't have yet. And that's okay. But we wanted to share that with you so you could use it for your business as well. Does that make sense? And some may decide to postpone. I've had a couple that are like, I still want to do a cooking show, so I'll just do it next month, that kind of thing. Okay, so Karen said she posted about hosting and set up a show and gave the link in case anyone needs just a few things here and there. I love that, Karen. Awesome idea. Another idea I saw today, well, because I wanted to leave you with at least 10 good ideas after this, was to set up a fundraiser. And you could do it for a local charity, like we have a Broken Bus Ministry here that feeds the homeless. Or you could do a like a Feeding America one through what Pampered Chef already does, so it goes to the food banks. So some people may not necessarily be spending money on extras, but if they know it's helping people, they're, you know, I've seen a lot of people post now that in our area, local restaurants and bars got shut down, like make sure that you tip your carry out people, or try to buy gift cards right now to help these companies like have some income coming in, even if they're not in full business. So there's people out there that do have spending money that are looking for ways to do it in a helpful way. Does that make sense? So if you were doing it as part of a fundraiser, that would be a way to offer something to people that's not just about a host trying to get free rewards. So anyone have any ideas they want to throw in the chat about just fundraiser type ideas? Or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free to let me know that you're going to do that too.
I just wanted to jump in and tell you guys that since we've been on this call, I've gotten 3 orders and they've all been over $100. So people are still buying, even, you know, like in Iowa, schools are for sure canceled for 4 weeks. So even though I think people have panicked and realized, oh, we're going to have to feed these children, you know, like that are home. So the orders are still coming in, which is good.
Yes, yes. And I know I had a girl add on a whole knife block set to another order she'd already placed. I think it was last night because I texted Amanda Joe, like, look what just got added on. Elizabeth asked, how can we do a Feeding America fundraiser? We don't need to contact somebody about it. You have the option to set up just as a fundraiser. And then instead of putting a host in, you put in the charity that it's going towards, and Pampered Chef sends the check to the charity. So something like Feeding America, you should just be able to put that in and they would already have that information. But like if it was a local charity, I would have to contact that charity and say, like, what address would this check go to? Like, who's in charge of that? And then the check has to be made out to that, to them, like the Broken Bus Ministry. It can't go to like Elizabeth, you know, because it can't be a personal check. Yeah, you would just fill that in and then focus on our Feeding America products as well, so that it's almost double dipping in the fundraiser. So I think he might be bringing the baby down. I'll mute myself if he does that. And but another idea was how else can we be helpful, because it's not just about getting sales right now, though that is important. And if you're relying on this income, like that is a valid thing to be concerned about. But how can you be helping people so that even if they can't book with you right now or they can't buy from you right now, they're going to remember that you're helpful. You're like their go-to girl. Because I tell this to consultants all the time when they're new, if they're hitting a road bump in their business, you're building a business. So you may not get the results you want today or next week or even in the next month, because it doesn't always roll in that quickly. But when you look at it like you're building a business instead of just worrying about what next week looks like, people will come back to you over time. And so it's very important to remember that something you do today may not pay off immediately, but I promise you in the long run, it will pay off. So a couple other ideas that I've been kind of throwing around with some other leaders is like, how can we be giving people like helpful tips? So who here has bought like extra food so that they don't have to run to the grocery store as much? And I know that if you guys live in the country, like you probably grocery shop a little differently. I'm more in like the city, so we tend to go to the grocery store more than once a week. But who here has like extra food, or maybe bought more like dried stuff like rice, beans, like stuff that they wouldn't necessarily buy every grocery trip? Is anybody else doing that? Okay. So the stores are out of a lot of food around here. So a lot of people are doing that. I asked on a Facebook video today, like, who here has bought something that maybe they've never cooked before? Or who here has to like make up a meal out of stuff out of their pantry, and maybe they've never just had to like make up a meal before without a specific recipe. Like you pick this recipe, you go to the grocery store, you buy those ingredients, and then you make it. What if you just have some ingredients in your pantry and you kind of have to figure out what's for dinner? I know that I do a lot of shows with a lot of different like people from family backgrounds, and a lot of families are so busy and run so much that they really don't cook at home at all. So the idea of even having to put a meal on the table is really overwhelming. So how can we help people that are in any of those scenarios? Melanie, did you have an idea? There, I can unmute you, I think. Oh, there you go. We can hear you.
My husband and I had talked, he is doing this with me, and we talked about on our page that we just kind of started together, we're doing different meals. So with the air fryer and with the quick cooker, we're going to do different meal ideas every day with the theme of stuck at home with kids or whatever, just in lieu of what's going on. So that's something that we're kind of starting right now. We'll see how it goes, but just an idea.
Yeah, I think that is a great idea. I love it, Melanie. Thanks for sharing. Did somebody else have an idea? Thought I saw some hands go up, so. Yeah, there you got it. Okay, and Letha said that there is an app for that. It's called Supercook. And somebody told me there was a really good app. So thanks. I didn't know which one it was. But just sharing something like that on your Facebook wall or on your VIP group, like, hey, you guys, I'm loving this app. If you're trying to figure out what to do with these ingredients, like that still makes people remember that you're helpful, you're trying to help them, and then you might find you love that app and you'll use it forever from here on out too. So thank you for sharing that. I know that one of my friends in, I think she's in Washington State, Yvonne, posted like, tell me 4 ingredients you have in your house and I'll share a recipe with you that you can make with that. And then what she's actually doing is, some of you guys might not know this, but if you go to like the Pampered Chef website, you can search by like product for a recipe, or you could search by an ingredient like ground beef, and it'll pull up Pampered Chef recipes that are using ground beef. So she'll take those ingredients and then it's one big long thread on her page, so people are getting tons of recipes. She's just sharing the link. If Amanda Jo said, oh, I've got corn and ground beef, she'd share a link to her website for a recipe that does that. And then if Rachel said, oh, I've got spaghetti squash, I've never made it before, she's sharing a recipe that uses that. So it's just a way to be helpful and not focus so much on the sales. Anyone else have ideas they want to share?
I love the idea of, if you're home with your kids, which is a reality for a lot of people, involving your kids as like an activity too into the cooking. So it's it's math and measuring and all that, and sharing with families how you can do that with these same, pantry ingredients, and making kind of the best of it. And yeah, that's just one of them that we're going to focus on here.
Yeah, I love that. That's an awesome one. And I know a lot of moms aren't used to like having this school on their plate. So, I know our local zoo is sharing a video of an animal each day that moms can use as an educational thing for kids while they're home. So you could really do that with like being in the kitchen. We went live with Gavin making dinner tonight, and it got a lot of views and a lot of comments. And I just shared some helpful tips. So I wasn't saying like, hey, buy this product, hey, buy that product. I was just like, Gavin knows how to cook because I've done this his whole life, and he's 10 and he makes dinner a lot of times when I'm working. So I'm going to film it tonight, So making it more like a fun thing like that. Any other ideas? Any other problems or concerns? And I wanted to go back to touch back on the host is worried that people won't spend, because we like glanced over that, but I wanted to go in that one a little bit more depth. But any other concerns you guys are hearing or feeling for yourselves right now? Okay, I see people moving, but I don't see any hands going up. So if you're trying to unmute, just let me know. Okay, so what do you say to a host that's hopefully already booked, that's like, I don't know? And I said the one that I had given to my host that worked to keep that party, but the truth is it may or may not. But I would just tell her that you're going to focus on something fun in the party, and to go ahead and invite people and tell them they can jump on whether they're going to order or not. Because we all know as consultants that really, like, we try to get 45, 55 people in every party because we're going to get maybe 10 to 12 orders out of that. They aren't going to all order anyway. They never do. That's actually nothing different. But kind of like give them that permission up front to just join in. And if they can buy, they can. And if they can't, they can't. And that's okay. But it's something fun. That kind of thing. Elizabeth said that with this going on and then the taxes, they're not having any money to spend. Is that because of a delay in tax returns with everything going on, or? I think she's typing an answer. So that's how I would phrase that, is like, some people are spending, some aren't. I totally understand that. But let's go ahead and try. The thing with the virtual parties is there's always, even regardless of this going on, there's always some parties that get no orders or don't qualify. So it's really no different. But okay, and they owe money. So some people do sometimes owe money, and like doing this full time for a long time, we always owe too. So I understand that. But I would say the highest percentage of people get a return or don't owe. So that's going to be a smaller part. So if the host owes money and is a little bit worried, like all her friends don't. I mean, there's no way that everybody she's friends with on Facebook owes for their taxes, because that's just, there's no way that that many people are self-employed on a friends list and owe at the end of the year. So I would just kind of, it's really the same answer for all the different problems. Like, let's just go ahead with it. Like, follow my tips for getting the people in there. We'll focus on the fun. You know, I'm never high pressure anyway. I tell people that. And then, you know, if for some reason we don't hit the goal that we're going for, we don't get to 200, like, I understand, but let's just see what happens. My host last week needed a lot of encouragement. Like, I had a girl who every turn, like, I don't think I can get enough people in here. And I was like, well, let's just try. And if we don't get, and she didn't have as big of a friend list. So I was like, if we don't get that, you know, 100+ people invited, let's just focus on getting more yeses out of the people you do invite. And we got, I think we got the head count just over 20, which I like it to be 30 to 40. And then she's like, okay, I don't think I'm going to qualify because I didn't get enough people in here. And I was like, well, let's just see how it goes and get people commenting, you know, because the more comments, the more fun the party is and the more people see the post. So we did that. And then on the last day, she said, I'm sorry it was a waste of your time because we weren't at 200. You know, I knew this was going to be bad. And I'm like, well, you're kind of looking at the wrong way. Let's just see if one more reminder, you know, will get you more orders, because almost all my orders come in on the last day. So what does it hurt if you just send out like a reminder to each person and see what happens? Because all my other hosts are doing that too. And so she did that. Well, we ended up at like a $400 party when it was all said and done. So, I mean, that host may or may not have been like that regardless of what is going on. But yes, your hosts are dealing with a lot of stresses. So they might just need that, like that baby step encouragement right now through the process. So if it's like, I don't know if I should still host the party, you could say, you know, I just got off an awesome call and there's consultants all over the country still doing parties and they're rocking them out. Like, let's just try. We'll make it fun for your friends and let's see what happens. And then you're just going to baby step them through that process of like inviting people, what to say, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Okay. Letha said she likes to share 25 and under products at her parties, especially if it seems like people have trouble deciding what to buy. I think that is an excellent idea. I do on the last day of my parties a top 10, and I try to keep a lot of the top 10 things to be 25 and under. And that was a tip I heard today on one of the leader calls, is instead of focusing just on the really big things, make sure that your virtual parties are also focusing on those like 10, 20, $30 products, especially the ones that would be really handy if you have a lot of food to cook at home and you're not used to doing that. So like the micro cookers, why don't we do that in the comments? Put a product or two that you think would be really helpful for people to have, that's not like a blender or quick cooker. Not that those are bad things, but like those middle of the road products that if you're not used to cooking dinner, because we're all spoiled with products, right? But those people that aren't used to it, like what would be helpful for them? Put that in the comments. Or if you don't know how to do the chat and you want to unmute yourself, that's fine. But we can share a lot more through the chat usually. I'll let you guys get going. The mix and chop. Yes, we shared that live tonight. Veggie strip maker. I love it. Microwave pasta cooker. Snack bar maker set. That was one was on the top of my list. Brownie pan. And that mini baby brownie pan. Ceramic egg cooker. I'm loving this, you guys. Sandwich maker. Yep. So, I mean, think about that. Would you feel bad saying, if somebody's like, oh, I stocked up on eggs, or like, I know a lot of you guys in some of the more rural communities, like you guys have eggs. We don't have that around here. To be like, oh, I've got this egg cooker that everybody can make their own breakfast and in like 90 seconds and add different things. Like that feels helpful. That doesn't feel like uncomfortable or rude. Spices and sauces. I love it, Lisa. The donut pan. So you could go live if you have it and share like the cut and seal, like to do the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, the scoop and spread, and those are Roundup from the Heart products as well. To do the Uncrustables at home. We're thinking alike there, Amanda Jo. Anything else? This is a good starter list. What about just even like the food chopper? I think that's over 25, but it's not a high-end product. Flexible cutting mats, the quick slice was one I was thinking of. Because like the food chopper was a way back original Pampered Chef product. I still see a lot of people comment on that on my virtual parties as like that's the first product they've owned or their favorite Pampered Chef product. So if you stocked up on stuff and were putting things in the freezer, I know that's when I would use that the most, to like chop up a bunch of onions, that or the manual food processor. But the food chopper is a little lower price point if you're being price conscious too. So any other products, you guys? Okay, so we're right just over 40 minutes. So I have a few more minutes if people want to ask questions, but I didn't want to keep you guys on all night either. The personal pizza stone, yeah, or even the full size, like the full size stone. That's still, I think it's under 50 bucks. So focusing on some of that in your parties too. You could even have that be a day of you know, things that I do if I'm meal prepping, or you know, you could change up your virtual party and maybe make a top 10 list of products under $25 and under, and just have this be a full day of your virtual party, the products we just shared. But any other questions, any other problems? Is everybody walking away with at least 3 ideas that help them make their businesses more successful between now and the last day of March? I'm seeing some thumbs up. Okay, so that's what was my goal, that we shared enough ideas for enough people that you could get off this call and feel confident with what you have to offer and how to be helpful, and then how to run your business too, because we don't have to stop running our business. I think we just need to make sure we're doing this the right way, and to know that people a lot of times do turn to Pampered Chef in these situations, and we can provide that social relief. We can provide that networking. I've even just been trying to call people on the phone a little bit more as I can at home. I know with 5 kids home, that might be harder sometimes than others, but just because people aren't talking to as many people, and I think that that's a little more personal than a text. So even if it was like a decline card, normally I'd text for that, and today I was just trying to make an effort to like call and just be like, hey, this is Chantel, you know, I'm having problems. You know, if they didn't pick up, I would just say, I'm gonna text you too in the voicemail, but just so that they're hearing a friendly voice. I thought, you know, what's that going to hurt? But actually more people are picking up because they're not at work, right? They're working from home. So that more people are just answering their phones. So that could even be a way that you could brighten somebody's day just by being cheerful and positive. I mean, imagine how unbright your day would be if you worked in a grocery store right now. So just getting a phone call from somebody that was just being nice and helpful and happy, like that might totally make your day better. So there's a lot of little ways we can just be positive and helpful. And then people will also continue to book parties and buy and even join your team, because I think all of those are a good fit right now. Anything else you guys want to cover? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording and then I will end the call. But let me stop the